because First Nation, on whose land we live, work, and play. We have an agenda circulated. We have an addition of one late item, 6.8, which is District of Vancouver stage for National Indigenous Peoples Day.
Stage and washroom.
Oh, stage and washroom, sorry. Would somebody like to move the agenda as amended?
So moved as amended.
Seconder? All in favor? That's carried. We have the minutes from the April 27th regular council meeting. Would somebody like to move adoption? Seconder? All in favor? That's carried. No bylaws or delegations, so we will go straight to 6.1 and I will hand it over to Taylor.
All right, can you guys hear me okay?
We can.
Yeah, I'm just going to share my screen here and we can all stay together. Can you see that?
Yeah, we can now.
Perfect. Yeah, so my name's Taylor Turkington from Bestwick Hildebrandt Lund. I'm working on the audit for the District of Vanderhoof. Just want to say thanks to staff for all their help with the audit this year. Went by pretty smoothly. I believe you have two things in your agenda. One's the audit findings letter, and then what we'll do today is the actual statements of the district. The audit findings letter is just a bunch of information about what we did as part of our audit engagement, and it's just a lot of pages saying that everything went well, nothing to really bring to your attention. So we'll just get started right away here on the financial statements. So here we have management's responsibility for the financial statements. So this just talks about the fact that while we do help to prepare the financial statements, once they are approved by mayor and council, they are your responsibility, and make sure that they're used appropriately. Next, we have the independent auditor's report. So this is where we give our opinion on the financial statements. This is essentially what we are engaged to do. So in our opinion, the accompanying financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the District of Vanderhoof as at December 31st, 2025. And so that just means clean audit report, no real adjustments, and everything went quite smoothly. Below that, we have, again, responsibilities of management and those charged with governance. This talks about, again, that they are the responsibility of management once they are approved. And then on the next page here, page 4 in my PDF, we have the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statements. So this just gives a little bit of a breakdown of what we do when we perform our audit. So we make sure we identify and assess any risks of material misstatement, make sure we understand any relevant internal controls, make sure the accounting policies being used are reasonable, and make sure the overall presentation aligns with the public sector accounting standards. We'll scroll down here to the statement of financial position, also known as the balance sheet. So total assets for 2025 were 45.3 million, up from the 31 million in 2024. That increase in cash is due to the significant net income or surplus that you had for the year, as well as the 3 years of RBA funding that was received. Below that, we have the total liabilities of 27.8 million, up from the 15 million in 2024. There was some increases in accounts payable and accrued liabilities. That's mostly due to just the timing. There happened to be more payable at the end of the year. There's an increase of about $2 million in unearned revenues, and that's because of water meter pilot funding that has yet to be used. Then unearned grants increased by about $10 million. And in large part, that's due to the RBA funding for 3 years was received in 2025. All that together results in a total net financial assets of $17.5 million. Total non-financial assets were $69.4 million, majority of it being the tangible capital assets. That increased by about $900,000, and that increase is mostly due to capital asset purchases during 2025. All that together results in an accumulated surplus of $86.9 million. On the next page, we have the statement of operations, also known as the income statement. So total revenues for the year were $16.4 million, up from the 14.2 in 2024. The increase is due to the about slight increase in grants for the year. There happened to be more federal grants that were received. Taxation also increased due to a budget for more taxation revenue. And then there's also the increase. The most significant one is the transfer for Northwest BC regional funding. And that's just the usage of the deferred revenue that was received in previous years. Below that, we have total expenses of $14.4 million, up from the 11.9 in 2024. And that increase is mostly due to the increase in the general fund. And that is because of more fiber and land demolition expenses that were incurred during the year. All that together results in a total annual surplus of just over $2 million, resulting in the accumulated surplus at the end of the year of $86.9 million. After that, we have the statement of change in net financial assets. Report is exactly that, just shows how the net financial assets balance changed during the year. So you can see there was $4.2 million in capital assets purchased against $3.3 million in amortization, with some other miscellaneous non-financial assets, resulting in a total increase in net financial assets of just over $1 million. And then below that, we have the statement of cash flows. So this sort of gives a snapshot of where cash came from and where it was spent during the year, broken up between operating, capital, investing, and financing transactions. So there was a total increase in cash due to operations of just over $18 million, with a decrease in cash due to capital asset purchases and long-term debt repayment, resulting in a total increase in cash of $13.5 million. And then after that, we have this little page here, the statement of remeasurement gains and losses. So as you can see this year and last year, there is no accumulated remeasurement gains or loss. And that's just because there's no financial instruments that are held that would have an unrealized gain or loss on them. There's no investments that would have that. After that, we get to the notes to the financial statements. So this just gives a little bit more information about the accounting policies that are used in preparing the financial statements and the different disclosure requirements for the public sector accounting standards. I'll sort of touch on some that I think would be of interest to Mayor and Council. Note 1, revenue recognition. So this talks about all the different types of revenues that are received by the district and how they're recognized in the financial statements. Cash and cash equivalents is just a breakdown of what makes up the actual cash and cash equivalents balance on the face of the financial statements. Employee future benefits just talks about how the district and its employees do make contributions to the municipal pension plan, and how that is included in accounts payable and accrued liabilities. Tangible capital assets. So this is a sort of breakdown of what makes up the tangible capital asset line item, as well as how those different assets are amortized over their useful lives. Then we get to financial instruments and fair values. So it's just a breakdown of what the different financial instruments or financial assets and financial liabilities are, as well as how they are recognized on the face of the financial statements. Asset retirement obligations. There's another note about this later on, but this just talks about the fact that there are some capital assets that are owned by the district, and there is a legal obligation regarding the retirement of those assets. And so the liability has been incurred to record that in the financial statements. Note 2, cash and cash equivalents. So it's just a breakdown of what makes up that number. So you can see there is majority is cash with some savings accounts of $11.2 million for 2025. Accounts payable and accrued liabilities, as mentioned before, is mostly made up of this trade payables amounts for 2025 compared to the $500,000 in 2024. Unearned revenues. These are just grants that have been received that are waiting to be spent on different projects. Note 5, unearned grants. So this is just a breakdown of specific ones that have reporting requirements in the financial statements. Below here, we have the COVID-19, the Community Works Fund, the Northern Capital and Planning Grant, Growing Communities Fund, and the Northwest BC Regional Funding, and sort of gives a breakdown of where, how much was received during the year, as well as what it was spent on in 2025 and 2024. The big one this year is where did it go here? Here we go, the Northwest BC Regional Funding Reserve. So you can see during the year, $11 million was received against the $1.9 million in amounts spent in 2025. Contaminated site. So this just talks about the Quick Save service station. And this is the liability that's left over the estimated liability left over in order to finish the remediation of the site for the district. Note 8, long-term debt. So it's just a breakdown of all the different loans that are from MFA that are for the district, resulting in the $2.2 million. And then there's also a breakdown of the upcoming payments for the next 5 years of principal payments. Contingent liabilities. This is talking about the different liabilities that are held in contingency for the district. So the employee sick days just talks about why that number is what it is. The municipal finance debt issues just shows the total amount of demand notes regarding MFA. Note 10, accumulated surplus. So this note gives a breakdown of the different surplus accounts as well as the different reserve accounts as well. And then that tied in with the investment in tangible capital assets agrees to the total accumulated surplus that was shown on the face of the financial statements. Note 11, municipal pension plan. So this note is in every municipal statement or audited financial statements. Just talks about how they contribute to the municipal pension plan and then how much the district paid for employer contributions in 2025. Note 12, taxation. This is just a breakdown of how much tax was received just for general municipal purposes, as well as how much was received and then paid out on behalf of other governments, the $4.4 million. Note 13, the budget. So this gives a breakdown of how the financial plan bylaw 1282, how the balanced budget there agrees to the budgeted surplus per the consolidated statement of operations. That's just due to the different reporting requirements of the public sector accounting standards. Note 15, accounts receivable. This is just a breakdown of what makes up the accounts receivable account, with the majority being taxes and grants receivable. Note 17, segmented information. This talks about the different segments that are held in the financial statements, and there's a breakdown later on, broken up between protective services, public works, recreation and culture, general government, environmental and public health, sewer services, and water services. Note 18, asset retirement obligation. Again, this is just talks about the obligation that is held at the end of the year for the retirement of the asbestos obligation. And then we get to the schedules of the financial statements. So Schedule 1 is a schedule of general fund expenses. So this is a breakdown of the different funds in the general fund. So we have general government, public works, etc. And this is a breakdown of what makes up each of those different total expenses. So you can see here, a big one here is the City West Fiber Agreement. Public Works and Transportation is relatively the same as last year, as is Protective Services. Continuing on, environmental and public health, significant increase this year due to land remediation and demolition. Environmental development and recreation and cultural services stayed relatively the same. After that, we have the schedule of expenses by object. This is probably how you're more used to seeing financial statement expenses. So this is the total expenses broken up by a more regular sort of expenses, such as bank charges and interest, remuneration and benefits, interest and insurance. So that agrees to the total expense amount of $14.4 million. Schedule 3, the schedule of tangible capital assets. So this is just a breakdown of those different types of capital assets, showing how much was purchased during the year of the $4.2 million, how much was removed during the year, reclassified, and then how much amortization was incurred for each of the different types of capital assets in 2025. And then last but not least, we have the schedule of segmented disclosure. So this is a breakdown of the revenues and expenses for each of those segments that we sort of touched on before, showing the annual surplus or deficit for each of those different segments in the financial statements. And that sort of brings us to the end. I know that is not fun to listen to, but if anyone has any questions, please let me know.
Any questions from council? Councillor Frankel.
Yeah, I'll be quick. Thanks, Taylor. Long-term debt. We always have that discussion around long-term debt. We're at 2.2, I think, and it was 2.4.
Yeah.
Should we look at increasing that long-term debt? Like what's a good, it's not debt to equity, I don't think, but what's a good percentage to be at long-term debt? I think we do a great job here paying things off, but at what expense is that? So
you just mean like in generally speaking?
Yeah.
I think you guys are doing good. Like it sort of is what it is at this point. The rates aren't too bad from MFA. I mean, in a perfect world, you would want to have no debt like anyone, but I don't see any problems with the amount of debt that you have and you're paying it off quite well. And there's always the MFA forgiveness of the debt too that happens every year. I can't remember off the top of my head what it's called for the sinking funds, but that always helps as well. Does that answer your question?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's good. I get it. I think we're in good shape. I know we're in good shape. I just didn't know if we could be borrowing more to offset the payment of things, because borrowing might be better, right?
You never want to borrow if you don't have to. I guess because you will, if you do borrow, you do end up paying more because of the interest. So if you don't have to borrow, it's better not to borrow. Because in the long run, it costs you more. You could get what you want or purchase what you would like quicker, but it will cost you more than if you didn't have to borrow. Yeah.
Good. Any other questions? I'm not seeing any more, Taylor. That was a very, clear, concise audit report. So, it was good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We're not receiving that or anything, right? Don't receive that or anything. Thank you, Taylor.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we want a resolution to approve.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor? That's carried. Okay, moving on to 6.2, 5-year financial plan bylaw for adoption.
Move to adopt 1,300 Bylaw 13.
Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. 6.3, we've got the temporary use permit application for 1399 Bearhead Road. William, you're going to speak to that? I hit the right button.
So this is an application for BC Hydro work camp and laydown yard at the Canfor Plateau property. It's being applied for by Canfor, Canadian Forest Products Limited, and the recommendation is that it be approved. And also we'd like to add in there that if a development variance permit is required, which means if any of the buildings going on, any structures going on the property are not in compliance with the zoning bylaw, like if they're within a side or front yard setback, that Canfor will apply for a development variance permit, but that only depends on where the structures are actually going on the property.
So we have a recommendation
Yeah,
there.
and the applicants are online if council has any questions for them.
Somebody want to make a recommendation as amended?
I'll make the recommendation.
Seconder?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Okay. 6.4, that's Willeen again.
So this temporary use permit application is for an automotive repair or maintenance business. There is a list of conditions there that is just kind of basic with temporary use permits for that kind of work that I could find in BC. It is at the old veterinary building on Burrard. There used to be a garage there. And yeah, the applicant and the current property owner are in the gallery. And if you have any questions, and I believe the applicant would like to speak to the condition, no, or maybe clarification, he wants no inoperable or unlicensed vehicles stored for longer than 30 days. So I think he has a question or a comment about that. If council would like to hear from the gallery, we just need a resolution to allow the public to speak. Yeah.
I'll make that.
Perfect. Do you want to come off and speak to it? Yeah, right at the podium there.
Hello, thank you so much for letting me come speak. Yeah, just was wondering if it would be possible to extend it to 60 days. Right now with part supply, it's sometimes it's a bit tough to get within 30 days. So I realize and agree that there should be something in there because I know it can be unsightly to have broken down vehicles just sitting outside. But it's just for my business, it's just a little bit tight for that timeline. So if we could do it for 60 days or if there's any other suggestions, willing to hear that.
So we do have a note in here that there is to be screening and fencing along the side just to provide some of that visual barrier. So I think with allowing the extension from 30 to 60 days will be permitted if those vehicles could be put in those locations.
So that would be part of the resolution when we pass it. Add that to the
I would just
recommendation.
change
Yeah.
30 to 60.
Go ahead, Councillor Frankel.
Yeah, we all know it was a Ford shop before, so it has been automotive before. The concern that I have is that, one, it's temporary use, so I don't know how long that's going to last. I'd love to just see a zoning change, but a temporary use, great, let's give it a go. I'm just concerned that it's along the main drag and 30 days is to try and keep the town looking good. And we've got so many examples of, we've got so many examples where things are not sort of in compliance. And if we do this, just everyone needs to know it's right on our main drag and we have to keep it up. Make sure, and if we don't, then, and there's a violation, then that gives us the out, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So the temporary use permit's for 3 years and it can be renewed for a further 3 years. And I believe the applicant said that if the purchase goes through, that he is planning to hopefully rezone the property properly for the use. And the end of the resolution just does say that if the conditions are violated, then we can revoke the permit.
Mr. Lozay.
Yeah, no, that was my comment is there is a condition in there that gives us some leverage if compliance isn't happening. So I would like to make the motion that we approve this temporary use permit.
Do you want to ask?
As read or as amended?
As amended.
Do you want to ask?
And
Just in case.
we should do that now before there's
Yes.
a motion.
Yes.
I
Right.
believe there's somebody else in the gallery
Oh.
that wants to speak, and it kind of read that way in the letter. So if anybody wants to move that Theodore can come up and speak.
I'll move it.
Seconder? Yep. All in favor? Carried. Come on up, Thea.
Reason that I'm just.
If you can come close to the mic, just so it's on the
Okay,
recording.
sure. Okay. I have a big voice, so hi, everybody. Because I'm a neighbor there and I have no problem of there being a business there again, but what I had, I'm sure some of you are old enough to remember that when you go down the alleyway towards, say from here down to Victoria Street and where the cars used to be, there is, and I don't know where it would be exactly, but there was a place where they used to pour oil into the ground. So anyway, that's Kevin or Mayor, that's why I was, when I got this letter, thank you for that. But it's just something that I was kind of concerned about because I don't even know. No, and so it's just, and then because it came up already on the agenda about the decontamination of the quick save, whatever they did. And I mean, I think this town is looking amazing. I just feel very proud of it and all the work that people are doing, especially where the graffiti used to be.
Mhm.
However, I don't know how to bring this, if I'm kind of not doing this the way it's supposed to be. To protocol.
It's on the record now.
I'm on record, I have a record. Okay, but if that's if people heard me and
Yeah.
any of you who know me, that I don't think I have, I don't want to make a big row about it, but it's just something that I wasn't sure how many, but then when I see some of these old guys, I'm sure that they.
It's pretty sad when I'm the youngest guy on council. Councilor Lozay.
No, I hear your concern.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. But within the conditions of the temporary permit are definitely environmental safeguard. Yeah, that's the
Right.
word I'm looking
Right.
for. Yeah. So I absolutely hear you.
Thank you
That-
so
And
much.
I think that's been addressed.
Thank you so
in,
much.
you know,
Yeah,
In the conditions.
yeah. No, thank you very much. I feel
Thank you.
respected and heard. So I just really thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Thea.
Yeah.
So while your mic's on, do you want to do that motion again?
Yes,
Is that-
I will make the motion that we approve this temporary use permit as amended
60 days.
to 60 days,
Yeah.
not 30 days.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Great. Okay, moving on to 6.5, pickleball request for the arena dry floor. Colleen?
Just let me find it. Sorry, too many. So this request, it would be for the second year for Vanderhoof Pickleball to move to use the arena over the winter. As listed in the report, there were 2 things that they were asked to do last year that weren't done. The tape, they were to use low residue, which I don't know if it was used or not used, but it did cause a considerable amount of staff time to get the tape off the floor. And the washrooms weren't cleaned. But other than that, it wasn't highly used, but it is available for their use if council wishes. But the recommendation is that that the request be denied, just from a staff perspective.
Council Lozay.
Yeah, I was looking at 1.10 on the lease or the obligations of the tenant, and it said that they will arrange for, the tenant will arrange for the public works manager to verify the tape is removed and washrooms cleaned at the end of the season. So I think, you know, if that maybe would have been followed up, like if that's followed up within that should, like, I don't know how
Yeah.
that's, do you know what
I
I
would
mean?
have to speak to the public works manager if they,
Yeah,
but when I asked him about,
for
you know,
sure.
sent him this
Yeah.
year and said, did everything go okay? He pointed out those 2 things.
Yeah, and those
Yeah.
would definitely have to be, and,
Yeah.
and then is this when I would speak my thoughts about free piece about it? Yeah, I would actually, I think it's $3.11 per user that would be charged, right? If we figured it out. I saw that number somewhere. I would like to not allow it. Charge. Other users of the arena need to pay for it. See them as well.
Council Bandola, then we'll go to Frankel afterwards.
Just wondering, what was the actual total usage by the pickleball group for the arena? Was
So-
it well used or?
Not at all, no. Gary saw one sign-in sheet for 2 days and there were 4 people that signed up for that week.
Right.
I don't know if that signed up or actually signed in to use it, but it didn't get a lot of use.
Thank you.
Mr. Frankel.
Yeah, I think Councillor Lozay talked about that already. I'm in favor of any user in this. Last year, I think we did it just, we're trying to help them find a venue, and we spend a lot of money at 300,000 or 400,000 in taxation to help that arena along. So I'm okay to look at, they can use it for a fee for sure. As the request is right now, waiving, I'd be denied for me, but they can use it if they pay appropriate fee.
So what I'm hearing is somebody wants to move the recommendation.
Yeah, I'll move it.
Okay, any further discussion? Council Ballmer.
Also, I don't like to deny anybody anything either, but I agree that if they're going to use it, pay should be in there. So if something like this happens again, we've got something to fall back on, so.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Oh. Mr. Frankel.
I would like to make a motion that, in light of the last one, that we offer it to them at the appropriate rates that our users, our arena users have.
$62.27
Yep,
an hour.
yep.
Seconder? Discussion? All in favor? It's carried. Good now? Okay, 6.6. We'll let William finish typing.
Yes. Where are we? Okay.
Oh, I've got it.
So this application came in very late prior to the agenda being published, so I did not write a report. The application is attached to the agenda for council to read. Then after that, they didn't realize they had to do a notice of intent for soil removal and to build the road and to put underground electrical. So they did do that on Friday, and It was submitted through the portal, so I received it this morning. So that's what I emailed you this morning and put on your desks. So that part, the notice of intent, is generally sent to local governments just for our information. Council doesn't have to weigh in on whether that's okay, the road and the underground electrical. If you want to, you can. This is just a resolution I came up with from research. There are certain things that have to be in the resolution. Your rationale according to the OCP and the zoning bylaw of why you would support it or not. So this is a resolution of support. A resolution of non-support would just be that council does not support the application. So if council wants to support it, this is my recommendation. And if you like, you could also add into there that you support the notice of intent for the road building and the underground electrical installation.
What do you got all that? Would entertain a motion? So that's the recommendation.
And how about
Plus
the
this,
notice
or-
of intent? And that too?
Okay, do we have a seconder to that? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Oh, yeah, go ahead, Councilor Mandello.
So in our support, do we need to submit a letter on behalf of council supporting it, or is it just goes into the rest? Okay, thank you.
All in favor? Carried. Okay. 6.7 is, I'll hand it over to Nelson for the Protective Services Quarterly Department Report. Are you there?
And thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is our first quarterly report for this year, covering January, February, and March, and it's also in comparison with 2025. The only problem with 2025 is all the data is not absolute, which means that we weren't separating things like alarm calls and stuff. It would all be categorized as other or stuff. So we've started our documentation now. So January, February, and March. January, we have 8 hours or 8 calls for service for a collective of 324 hours. So something interesting that I can show through the trend here is in 2025, most of our training was once a month. We've now upped it to 4 times a month. So our training hours have actually really increased. But it also shows in response. So if you look at the numbers through the months and compare from last year, we're actually more successful on scene now with less hours doing the exact same job, or actually most of our months were actually a little higher than last year. So it shows that training has really been increased and really has been a value there. So in February, we had 6 calls, 180 hours of training. February is a short month with 140 hours of response, 6 fire inspections, and 1 burn permit. And as we go through, the burn permits and stuff will increase as the snow starts to melt off, right? So March, an increase to 15 calls for service with 762 hours for response for calls and 186 hours of training. We conducted 4 fire inspections, 4 burn permits were issued for the month. So for the average attendance, something interesting here too is for the month of training in 2025, we averaged 18 participants. We're now averaging 23 participants attending training every Monday night. So that's really increased. For the calls, we actually were averaging about 11 volunteers per call response. And just to put that into perspective, that sometimes the fire alarms bring that way down, because if they know it's a fire alarm, we only get 3 or 4 people. So that brings that down. So, but we averaged 11. So now in 2026, we're averaging 28 calls for training and 18 volunteers on scene. And whenever we have a structure fire, we're averaging 25 volunteers on scene. So we're able to do a lot more and do a good response. And we've been timing our time, and our response time for volunteers is 6 minutes out of the hall. So it's far, far better. So for the last 3 months, we've been able to complete 14 fire inspections and 10 burn permits. So, and I've broken it down each month there on the subsequent pages. I'm willing to answer any questions if you have some.
Any questions for Nelson? Not seeing any. Thank you very much. Oh,
Sorry. Wow, good for you to get that, our community to have that kind of volunteer response. So you said the frequency of the training was once a month. How long would that month training last compared to the 4 times a month now? So when they'd come out for a once a month training?
So on Monday nights, the way the old system was working is every Monday night, they had the opportunity to come for 2 hours of training.
Okay,
But the first Monday of the month, they had an association meeting. So that was just a meeting.
okay,
And then the third Monday of the month, then they had a practice night.
okay,
And then they skipped the other 2 because usually a holiday or something falls into
right,
there.
right.
So now they're coming out every Monday, unless it's a holiday. So like
Right.
next Monday, we won't be training. And they come out for 2 hours, and sometimes we go over, so 2.5 hours.
That's great. Thank you.
that's great. Thank you. Oh, Councilor Van Dolen now.
Sorry. Thanks, Nelson. This is excellent. You indicated that your average response time out of the hall was 6 minutes. What is the goal that you're trying to achieve to get out of the hall? Because 6 minutes sounds great, but are you striving for 5 minutes or 4 minutes, or what's the actual metric that you're trying to get?
Thank you very much. So we use NFPA 1720 as our standard, which actually says is for a volunteer hall in our size of community with our type of demographics, where actually should be 12 minutes out of the hall. And the next vehicle should be another 15 minutes after that. We're averaging 6 minutes on scene, with the other vehicle being 8 minutes, 2 minutes behind.
Beautiful.
So we're almost meeting what a career department would be running at.
Excellent. Thank you.
That's amazing. Thank you very much for reporting. It's here. Great to hear that things are moving so well. Okay, moving on. The late item 6.8. Oh,
So Sycus First Nation is hosting the National Indigenous Peoples Day event at the Potlatch House at Sycus this year. So they've requested the district washrooms and stage, which by policy only council can waive the fees. So a proposed resolution is that the rental fee for the district washrooms and stage be waived for Sycus First Nation for the National Indigenous Peoples Day event being held June 19th, 2026, and that Sycus First Nation provide the district with a $4 million comprehensive general liability policy with inclusive limits for bodily injury and property damage liability, including coverage for participants, cross liability clause, and the District of Vanderhoof, and it's an additional named insured. And that insurance clause comes right out of our policy, which is a requirement for using the stage and the washrooms.
anybody want to make that motion?
I'll move that.
Seconder? Okay, then we'll go to Councilor Martins.
Thanks. I was just gonna ask, when the stage goes as far as with the cost of what we're donating, it must come with staff, correct? Like it's not just left there and we'll pick it up tomorrow. Is that been
It's,
considered, or how does that work?
it's delivered, set up, and then picked up. It'll probably go up there Thursday evening and then come back on
Does-
Friday.
Does when you say the stage, does that include all the sound gear and all of it?
Just the
That's
stage.
just the actual stage. Okay, that answers that question. Thanks.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Okay, we have council priorities on there as always. 7.2, we have the Vanderhoof RCMP crime stats. Any comments coming out of those? Okay, seeing none, we will go to councillor items. Councillor Franco.
Two quick things. I attended the community leaders meeting of Rio Tinto with Councillor Van Dola and Mayor Moutre, Chair Mark Parker. Interesting to see that we've gone through the driest March in history and the third warmest April in history on that reservoir. So, but we need to do our due diligence. That reservoir elevation is filling up fast. Seems like it's going up 10 or so% each week. So that was good. Anyway, this is keep on it. I know we are, but we've lived this quite a few times, so we just need to make sure they manage it properly. I do want to talk a little bit about, if I could, it won't take long, but Minerals North. Haven't gone in a couple of years. Very excited to have gone this year, 470 or 80 delegates. There are 18 active mines in British Columbia. I thought there was probably more. 11 are metal mines, 7 are coal mines. Our exports are about 48% coal, 24% copper, 21% gold, a value of $16.4 billion in the mining industry. There are 9 more mines in development. It's going through the EA phase. Some are really close, like Eskay Creek and KSM way up in the Golden Triangle there, up by Stewart, north of Stewart, Dease Lake, that whole area. 400, just to give you an idea of what's going on with exploration in mining, $436 million was spent in the Northwest, which is, in that terrace all the way up to Watson Lake kind of area. North Central, where we sit, with 140 million, and 8 million in the northeast, which is the coal, and then natural gas isn't included. That's 78% of all exploration budget in BC is in the northern half of the province. So, when we transition our economy, we've always helped with, whether it was Mount Milligan or we advocate for the New Gold Artemis mine. There'll be future advocacy that we need to look at. It is a major component of where we could be, and a lot of the mines, especially the ones up north, are going underground. So really a lot less. So I want to appreciate being voluntold I should go, Mayor Moutre. So I'm glad I did. Because it gives me. You know how sometimes we deal with a lot of our economies in a bad way. There's a lot of future out there, and everybody there felt it. Everyone felt that there was lots coming our way. So we need to be attuned to the major projects of British Columbia, and somehow we need to get. I think we've got a great economic team, and hopefully, I know they're on it. So anyway, I just wanted to say thanks for sending.
Thank you. And thank you for doing it on your birthday and everything.
Every year.
Spent away.
Councillor Lozzie.
So I've been away for the last week, and this might be Councillor Frankel's talking about the exploration in the north and the potential for our province up in this area to all the economic activity that's potentially going to be happening, and where economies are good, we know people come. So 2 weeks ago, on April 13th, Councillor Frankel made a motion to staff to start looking at housing on the 30-foot lots that are in our R1 zone. So while I was away, I've never really fully understood this whole modular housing piece. And very close to where I was at, there was 2 modular housing companies. And I thought, I got to go find more out about this, because we're kind of looking at housing and whatever. I know our staff will come back to us with a report. But it was really interesting because the one place that I visited takes about 5 months or less to get you know, something on the property and set up. It's for a 1,200 square foot home, it's 338,000. For a 504 square foot, it's 184,000 plus 5% for British Columbia because they meet all of our building code standards here. They are steel construction, spray foam insulation on this one place. Cause I'm going, yeah, but how well made are they? And, you know, it's a salesperson, so he was giving me a real big spiel that, yeah, they're well made. In fact, they were sending 8 units up to the Northwest Territories. And, one interesting project that they had done down in Sicamous was a 4-plex. So I just checked it out. I thought that's very interesting. And then of course, the other modular housing company was totally opposite. It was a stick build, just modular because it was in pieces. But for me, trying to wrap my head around that modular housing concept and what it would look like in our community. So I just thought I'd check it out. I know it's
Awesome.
yeah.
So thank you. Councillor Van Dola.
Yeah, thanks. Actually, it's interesting you bring that up, Councillor Lozay, because my wife and I owned a modular home when we lived in Poos Koopy, and it's probably of all the houses I've owned, it was my favorite home we had. And by far the most energy efficient house we've ever had. So yeah, there's some really great builders out there and some excellent companies. Like along with Mayor Moutre and Councillor Franco, I too attended the Rio Tinto update, and yeah, some pretty interesting numbers. You know, the amount of precipitation was 113% of long-term average over the whole watershed, 143% in the mountains. So quite a bit of moisture able to come down. The current reservoir levels at 2,795 feet. They're expecting the reservoir to raise to 2,799. And we have to remember the reservoir maximum level is 2,800 feet. So one of the questions that we asked was, well, you know, if we get more, what does it go above to 2,800? And they said, oh no, it can never go above a 2,800 unless they get legal okay to do so. So it'll flatten out at that 2,800, but they're not expecting, only 10% chance it may go over that based on the inflows that they're receiving. So that was pretty interesting information. And as well, attended a airport meeting with user groups to go over a proposed bylaw that we were putting on the table. It was pretty interesting having the group here. I actually was a little concerned how that was going to go, and I was pleasantly surprised how well the group got along. And you know, for the most part, they're in favor of a lot of the things that we're proposing. And looking forward to getting some feedback from that group to help us get that bylaw passed. So that was good to see. That's it for me.
Councillor Bulmer.
So nothing much for me. I went to the Centennial meeting and worked on Centennial stuff, getting the program put to bed, and I'll be at the meeting tomorrow night. That's it for me for this time.
Councillor Martins.
Yeah, thanks. I'm same as Councillor Bomer. That way been busy doing other things too, but the always working on the Centennial project, and to me it feels like the partnership response is kind of growing again. Not that it wasn't, but people are actually contacting us, you know, wanting to be involved, and so that kind of, I think the excitement is growing again, and we're getting very close. I think, you know, we got a few more details to do, but you know, in our meeting we'll go over some stuff tomorrow night as well. But it's coming along good. I don't think we have any major hiccups, at least nothing yet. So I think that's a good sign. Thanks.
Yeah, go through a few things. First, I'll say it's been nice. I haven't been anywhere these last couple of weeks. It was a busy time before that, so it's good to be back. You've covered most of the major meetings that I've been at, a lot of minor ones too. Airport users, I just got to say, I think that was one of the best user group meetings we've had, and it was really, everybody brought something productive to the table. And it's so nice to see when people come in on building rather than criticizing, right? So it was a really good meeting. Reservoir is definitely something to keep an eye on. amazing how, you know, there was thought that would take 3 years to refresh it. And here we are after one winter, right? So
Yeah.
that's just an amazing amount of precipitation that they've received. Going on that Rio Tinto one too, I'm actually giving, speaking to 3 grade 5, 6 classes next week, talking about watersheds. Going to bring the fire map we've got that shows the impact of fire on the watershed, but I'm also going to bring the latest Rio Tinto community leaders meeting to show the kind of information that as municipalities we take from the watershed to make decisions as we move forward. So that's a real good one. Yeah, thanks. Those are all good reports. With that, we'll go to adjournment and we'll take 5.